Hey book readers, today I'm talking about cereals and cereals. But before we get going, let's take a second to define, in publishing terms, what a cereal is. Well, according to everyone's favorite fallible source, Wikipedia, in literature, a serial is a printing or publishing format by which a single larger work, often a work of narrative fiction, is published in smaller sequential installments. From about the 1830s to the 1950s, this was the way many books came together. Smaller chunks of the story were published over the course of days, weeks, or months in a newspaper or magazine. Nowadays, of course, these past serials are published as just one book. But the real question is, what breakfast cereals pair well with some of these most famous, most popular cereals of all time? For instance, tomorrow morning, if you're going to crack open one of these novels, what should you be eating as you read it? Get your bowl, your spoon, and milk ready, and let's dig in. Let's start off with the most noble European pairing that I've got today, which is a count and a count. If you're not familiar with the basic plot of The Count of Monte Cristo, you may need to move out from under that rock you've been living under. This classic story tells the tale of Edmond Dantes, a young sailor who's falsely imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. After escaping from prison and discovering a hidden treasure, he transforms himself into the wealthy Count of Monte Cristo to seek revenge on those who wronged him. Since revenge is a dish best served cold, I suggest reading The Count of Monte Cristo while enjoying a cold bowl of Count Chocula. With a blood-sucking chocolate vampire, I guess, for its mascot, this sugary cereal made its debut in 1971, much to the horror of dentists everywhere. Can't you just picture the Count Chocula saying something like, "I want to cause cavities"? The Count of Monte Cristo takes place in the early to mid-1800s, long after chocolate made its way from the Americas to France in the 1600s. And the kings and queens of France were big fans of hot chocolate in particular. True story. So it's not inconceivable that Edmond Dantes would have been a chocoholic as well. We're going from pairing counts to combining captains. Captain Nemo with Captain Crunch. First off, Captain Nemo is the famous fictional explorer from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He's the builder and navigator of a cutting-edge submarine called the Nautilus. And he's a strange dude, a strange sailor. He's haunted by his past, and he's on a quest for knowledge about the sea and the creatures in it. On the cereal side of things, Horatio Magellan Crunch, that's his full name, I guess, is the mascot for Captain Crunch, a cereal made of sweetened yellow square-shaped cereal pieces of corn and oats. He captains a ship called the Guppy, and was born on Crunch Island, a magical island off the coast of Ohio, of all places, and in the Sea of Milk. Anchors away. In the next cereal combination, I'm pairing devils and angels. Let's start with the ones with the horns and pointy tail. The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. It's a satirical novel from the early 1940s in which a senior demon named Screwtape, thus the name of the book, writes letters to his nephew, Wormwood, giving him advice on how to tempt a human soul away from God and towards hell. Through these letters, C.S. Lewis explores themes of temptation, faith, and the subtle ways evil can influence human behavior. It's thought-provoking and funny, as a lot of Screwtape's tips for temptation are just as relevant today as they were over 80 years ago. But if you're reading the Screwtape Letters, you need to balance out the forces of evil with the sources of fiber. I'm talking about the heavenly taste of Angel Crunch granola cereal. The box has a halo and milk wings, for goodness sake. Plus, it's made with real maple syrup, something that I'd say is a gift from God to humankind. I mean, who doesn't like that sticky, sweet tree ooze? Now, if you don't think these two would pair well together, I can see where you're coming from. It's difficult to believe in something that you haven't experienced firsthand, but in this instance, I just ask you that you have a little faith in my recommendation. Another classic by Alexandre Dumas, which was first published over the summer of 1844, is The Three Musketeers, which follows the adventures of young D'Artagnan as he joins forces with three inseparable musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, to protect the honor of the Queen and combat the schemes of the powerful Cardinal Richelieu. Together they navigate the French court, engage in daring duels, and live out their motto of all for one and one for all. My own personal motto is when you're eating France, you should be reading France. And that's why I suggest pairing the Three Musketeers with the breakfast cereal par excellence, French Toast Crunch. This cult favorite, born in 1995, features tiny French toast coated in sweet cinnamon and syrup goodness. And for those who think that milk masks the flavor of this crunchy AM treat, try enjoying it a la carte, straight from the box. We're taking to the sea yet again for our next novel, Treasure Island, which was written by Robert Louis Stevenson and first published in 1881 in a children's magazine. It's the story of young Jim Hawkins, who discovers a treasure map and embarks on a perilous sea voyage with a motley crew, including the cunning Long John Silver. As they face treachery and danger on a remote island, Jim's bravery and resourcefulness become crucial in the quest for hidden pirate gold. Side note, if you're a landlubber interested in books with piracy, be sure to check out my video about 3 books with female pirate captains. Now the question is, what cereal should you pair with Treasure Island? And this time I'm going with a generic store brand in order to stay on theme. You gotta do what you gotta do. So head to Kroger and pick up a box of Pirate's Charms cereal. It's a frosted whole grain oat cereal featuring anchor shapes as well as colorful marshmallows that look like fish, dolphins, and other things I can't quite figure out because they're oddly shaped. Bury it under a whole bunch of milk and be sure to dig it up before it gets soggy. Soggy cereal is the worst cereal. Next up, we're taking to the sky. Written by Jules Verne and initially published in 1872, Around the World in 80 Days features the main character, Phileas Fogg, who bets his entire fortune that he can, title of the book, go around the world in 80 days. Accompanied by his loyal servant Passepartout, Fogg uses trains, elephants, sailboats, steamboats, and sledges to complete this daunting task, but there's one mode of transportation he doesn't use during the epic journey: the hot air balloon. It's a common misconception that Phileas Fogg hops into a hot air balloon during his jaunt across the globe, but that never actually happens in the book. The confusion is likely because of the movie adaptations. Some of them do have him riding in a hot air balloon, the most popular being the 1956 film starring David Niven, which is probably the main culprit for this misconception. Also, adding to the confusion, another Jules Verne novel, 5 Weeks in a Balloon, does have a character venturing across Africa in a balloon. But enough about balloons, let's talk cereal. What morning yumminess should we pair with this travel adventure story? Well, the answer comes back to balloons, I'm afraid, and that's Lucky Charms with its marshmallow shapes like hearts, stars, and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons, pots of gold and rainbows, and me red balloons. That's right, some of the marshmallows are shaped like hot air balloons. While this classic American cereal featuring a greedy leprechaun isn't all that nutritious, it is magically delicious. And that's another tie-in between the book and the cereal. Phileas Fogg makes a brief stop in Ireland, the home of Lucky the Leprechaun, this breakfast cereal's selfish mascot. There you have it, cereals and cereals. Let me know in the comments what your favorite breakfast cereal is and what book you think would pair well with it. As always, happy reading.